Alright, the topic is creating a stem plot. Let's do this example. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology holds an annual Christmas bird count in which bird watchers at various locations around the country see how many different species of birds they can spot. Here are some of the counts reported from sites in Texas during the 1999 event. Don't need this site. Alright, so 228. So there was a day when they saw 228 birds. 178, 186 birds, and so on. So 168 bird spotted, 162 bird spotted, 206 bird spotted, and so on. So what we're going to do here, we're going to use the first two numbers for the stem. So if you notice, those numbers, they go from smallest 15 to 22. So I'm going to say 15 here, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then the leaves are going to branch out of those stems. So in other words, this is like the 220s, the 210s, the 200s, and so on. So for example, let's plot 228, and let's cross it so we don't plot it. 228 will be, the 8, this 8 will be the leaf. So that's 228. In other words, let's do the key here. When we do 22.8, this means 228 birds spotted. Right? Alright, so let's do the next number. 178, we go to 17 and we put 8. 186, we go to 18 and write 6 for the leaf. 162, we go to 16 and we write 2. 206, we go to 20, we write 6. 166, we go to 16 and write 6. 163, we go to 16 and write 3. 183, we go to 18 and write 3. 181, make sure they're like columns. 206, we go to 20 and we write 6. 177, 175, 5 here. 167, 7 there. 162, 2 there. 160, 0 there. Another 160, another 0. 157 there. 156, 6 here. 153, 3 there. 153, another 3. 152, another 2. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to put them in order. The reason why I'm going to put them in order, each row, because we're going to need to find the median and the Q1, Q3, so it's easier. So let me first write the 15. It will be what? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So those are my stems. Now I'm looking at this row. If you put them in order, that would be 2, 3, 3, 6, 7. 2, 3, 3, 6, 7. I'm looking at the 16 right there. So in order it would be 0, 0, 2, 2, 3, 6, 7, 0, 0, 2, 2, 3, 6, 7. For 17 it will be 5, 7, 8. For the 18, 1, 3, 6. 19, nothing. For 26, 6. For the 22, it'll be 8. Alright. Now, for question B, write a description of the distribution. So remember, distribution, we need to talk about shape and if there's any unusual features. So, first, like always, we start with the distribution of what? So, the distribution of the number of birds spotted in the 1999 event of bird counts. Right? So that's the distribution we are trying to describe. Now this distribution, first we need to talk always about the modality. Is it unimodal, bimodal, multimodal, or uniform? You can look at, there's a mode right there at the 16, at the 160s. So it's unimodal, so it is unimodal. Now next thing, we need to say whether it's skewed to the right, to the left, or symmetric. You can tell it's skewed to the right because the tail is right here to the higher or to the larger values, 228. So, and skewed to the right. What else? Next, we need to talk about the center. Since it's skewed to the right, the center will be the median. So let's talk about the median. So the median is at, so let's find that number. How do we find the number? Remember the median is always at the position of n plus 1 over 2. How many values we have? If we count 3 this way, and then we got 7, 3 times 7, 21. So 21 values plus 1 over 2, 22 over 2, 22 over 2 is 11th position. So how do we count 11th position? Start from the smallest to the largest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here's my median. So the median is 16 for the stem and 6 for the leaf. So it's 1 median is 166, right? 16 for the stem, 6 for the leaf. So 166 birds spotted, right? That's the median. Now, since the median is in the 11th position, so there are 10 positions on the left of the median and 10 on the right. It's 21, right? So we have 10 smaller. So we want to look for Q1. This is the key. Look for Q1. Look for Q3. This way, and then try to find the min and the max, and this way we can describe it. And then the IQR, and this one we can describe the skewed distribution nicely. So how do we find Q1? We said there are 10 positions on the right of the median and on the left. So let's start with the left. So 10 position means the median or Q1 will be in 10 plus 1 over 2, which is 5.5 position. So how do we count it? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be right between here and there. So between 157 and 160. So it's 157 plus 160 over 2. That should be 158.5. So we can't use that. Either we're going to use, you can use 158 or 159. Both of them are correct. So we can't say 0.5 bird. So 158 birds. Right? Oops. This is right there. 158 birds. That's a Q1. Right? The first or the lower quartile. The upper quartile or Q3 is same thing. We need to count the 5. It's still the same 10 plus 1 over 2 position. For Q3, this goes, we don't need this. What are we going to do? Let's just do this. Right? For Q3, it's the same thing, 10 plus 1 over 2 position, because it's half of the batch on the right, half of the batch on the left. It's 5.5. So let's count from where? From, we can count from the top or just count from right after the median. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and then 5.5 will be right there between 181 and 183. So 181 plus 183 divided by 2, which is just 182. Right? So, whoops, again, I need to put it here. Oh my goodness. 181 plus 183 over 2, which is 182. So this is Q3, 182 birds. This is Q1. And now what is the min? Min is just the smallest value, which is 152. What is the max? Max is the largest value, 228. And IQR is usually 182. It's always going to be 182 minus 158. Right? So that's where the 50% of the birds spotted are. So let's rewrite all this stuff down. Let's start always, it's easier to start with the min than max. So we're going to say the lowest value or the lowest number of birds spotted was what's the lowest one? 100 right there. 152 birds. And the greatest number of birds spotted is right there. No, what's the greatest? We said max right there. 228 birds. Now what else? We said the median. Now we need to talk about the range. The range, we're going to say 50% of the birds were spotted or that were spotted are between or were between what is it? Q1 and Q3. 158 birds and 182. What else? Next, we need to talk about the unusual unusual features. In other words, if there is any gap or if there is any outliers. There is no outlier really, but there is a gap right there. So how do we say that gap? We say there were no counts between, talking about this gap, so that's between 210 and 220. And that's it for this example.